What is an Airbnb Superhost? We're going to talk about that today. Hi there, I'm Angela Brown and this is Ask a House Cleaner. This is a show where you get to ask a house cleaning question and I get to help you find an answer. Now today's show is brought to us by housecleaning360.com. And if you are an Airbnb host or you run a vacation rental by owner and you would like to find somebody to help you clean your house, you can find somebody on housecleaning360.com. And if you are a house cleaner and you offer services to vacation rentals or Airbnbs, then you want to list your business on housecleaning360.com so that these people can find you. All right, on to today's question, which is from a house cleaner who wrote into the show. And she wanted to know that she just got contacted by an Airbnb host who wants her to come run her Airbnb, and she wants her to help her become a superhost. And she says, what does that mean? What is Airbnb and what is superhost? All right, so those are great questions. So we're going to go back to the basics. There are a couple of acronyms, and the VRBO is Vacation Rental by Owner. So that is a house that maybe is an extra house or a second house that somebody is not using maybe half the year. So they throw it up on the market in this marketplace of vacation rentals where people will come rent out the whole home for, let's say, a couple of days or a week or whatever, instead of staying at a hotel. Now, the Airbnb stands for Air, Bed, and Breakfast. And basically what it is people renting their homes, and they're only renting a room or two of their homes for somebody to come stay. So let's say there was a conference going on in town and all the hotels are booked. So an Airbnb is somebody that lives in that town, and they would say, well, listen, I have 2 guest rooms that are open. Why don't you guys come stay at my house? So there's this whole online community marketplace called Airbnb, and it's a movement. There are over 400,000 Airbnbs that are listed. And so what happens is people then, instead of staying at a hotel, they are looking for a local experience. And so they will go room share, like they will go stay at somebody's house in their private guest room or their guest bedroom or whatever. And a lot of times they're coming in through the front door of the house. They're using the person's fridge. They're sitting on the living room couch of the person, and then they go to their room and they have their own little space where they have their private bathroom and private room. And they're just staying in what is like a suite environment, but they're not staying in a hotel. All right, so when you get a job to come clean an Airbnb, and Airbnb owners are looking for cleaners all the time, right? So if you are a house cleaner, this is something to consider as far as another business opportunity to increase your revenues. All right, so what you want to consider is the Airbnb host. To become a super host, there's a series of criteria and requirements that you have to meet. And it's things like on the ratings and reviews, you have to get over 4.8% on an ongoing basis. That is your average, 4.8%. And you get your high ratings and reviews, check this out, by being clean and having a wonderful environment and a wonderful experience, but by having the most clean space. Airbnb says that the 5-star reviews that are on their site generate more than 20% more bookings than lower ratings. And so they get the higher ratings and reviews by being easy to work with, by communicating with the customers. One of the Superhost requirements is that you have to have a 90% communication rate. And that is within 24 hours, you have to get back in touch with the people over 90% of the time. So even if you yourself are on vacation, you're still fielding calls and questions and touching bases with the people that are staying in your rental. All right, another requirement is you cannot cancel at all. You cannot cancel on a booking. And so if somebody books your space, unless it's an act of God, like there's a hurricane or a tornado or a flood, and it is mandated by the government that you evacuate and get out of the house, you can't leave, right? And then you better have some news clips that says we are demanding everybody evacuate. Or if there's a death in the family, you better be prepared to show up with a death certificate. I mean, they are not messing around. So as a host, you do not get to cancel on the bookings that you have agreed to. Now, you can block out your bookings and say, on this week, I myself am going on vacation and I won't be renting out my home. So it just shows up as your house being blocked. And so that doesn't count against you. But if you have a booking, you do not get to cancel on those people. All right, another thing that you have to consider with the Airbnb bookings is they must have more than 10 bookings per year. So this is not just a once a year booking, but it's an ongoing booking where you have ongoing clients that are coming and staying at your house. So there are requirements that the superhost has to meet and maintain. And then every quarter, those are renewed. So within like 3 months, all that rating could go away. And so by having the right house cleaner as part of your team, That helps you keep your Superhost status. Now, when somebody goes online to book their Airbnb, it pops up with this little banner that says Superhost. And so if you want to stay with somebody and you know you're going to get a great place to stay, you want to stay with the people that are Superhosts. So it's kind of an ego thing like, hey, these people are screened and they've jumped through all of these hoops to maintain this certain status of excellence. And so by having that on their listing, you know you're staying at a great place. So when a person asks you, can you come help me clean my Airbnb? What they're asking you is this: will you be as reliable as I am to my guests? Will you show up every day? Or will you show up every time between cleanings? With an Airbnb, usually people will stay for 2 days, maybe 3 days, sometimes 5 days, and you don't clean while they're there. You clean between the guests. So if you have 3 new guests coming in this week, you have 3 cleanings to do. So you'll be cleaning between each of those guests. And so the cleaning is not just regular house cleaning. You are resetting the entire space for that amazing 5-star experience. And so where we teach speed cleaning and we teach things like efficiency and get in and get out and all these things, you don't have that luxury with an Airbnb. The minimum requirement for most Airbnbs is that you're there to clean for 2 hours. And it takes about, on average, even if it's just 1 or 2 rooms, it takes about 2 hours to reset everything. And that is restocking the coffee and changing the linens. And we'll talk in another episode about all the things that you do and the differences between regular maintenance clean for house cleaning and Airbnb cleaning. But the host that's asking you is, what she's saying is, will you be my partner? Can you commit? And it is a commitment. The Airbnb is not just, well, I don't feel like cleaning today, so I think I'm going to skip. They need you to be there. And if they bring you on as part of the team, you're part of the team. And so you don't get to cancel. They don't get to cancel. You don't get to cancel. And so you are expected to follow the same standards that they themselves are expected to follow. So when you take a job, you need to be aware, this is a commitment. This is a long-term relationship. And if you guys work out well together, it can be a very lucrative source of income for you. All right, that's my 2 cents for today. And until we meet again, leave the world a cleaner place than when you found it.